Hello there. Let's take a look at the different kinds of airplanes that general aviation has. There's kind of the low wing and the high wing. This is the high wing airplane, and the most common is the Cessna. You've probably even heard of that before. There's a couple of versions of these are very popular. The first one is the Sky Hawk. It's the Cessna 172, and the Sky Lane, which this plane is, which is a Cessna 182. Let's take a look over here more at the motor part of it. So all these airplanes, the affordable ones for someone like me, typically have one engine and one propeller. The engine itself is a Continental. It has 6 cylinders. They're air-cooled. Okay, so you can see right in here there's a hole for that air to come in, and it goes through the fins of the engine, and it comes out through these vents and down below, and that's how it's cooled. Of course, it has oil in it as well. That's really important to check. But it's a wonderful engine. It's very reliable. Just like a lawnmower engine that has magnetos. It just sort of generates its own spark. It has 2 spark plugs, by the way, and 2 magnetos that keep the engine moving. In case one fails, you've got a backup. What else can I tell you? It's 250 horsepower, so that's a lot. It can truly hold 4 people in here and pull us along. So it's a very reliable engine. Usually I'm not too worried about this, but again, we always keep our eye out in case something goes wrong. So now let's take a look at inside. There are 2 doors. This is for the passenger. Usually the pilot sits on that side, although you'll see there are 2 yokes. And then you have to climb in, back through here to get in the back seat. So I wanted to show you a little bit about kind of the interior, and then maybe just some of the controls real quick, because I think it's kind of interesting. All right, so moving over here to the pilot side, I just wanted to show you the interior. There's a lot of neat stuff. We got a co-pilot over here, and I don't know if you can see, I got to get a little closer here. In case something went wrong, co-pilot does have access to the yoke right in here. This is an iPad that's used for navigation. And then kind of give you the big picture here. You can do that without the sun getting in the way. Here's all our instrumentation. There are steam gauges today. They're more of a iPad look. However, I actually like the steam gauges. And then there's actually quite a few controls I can show you. But before I do that, let's take a look now at the big picture. Here's where folks could sit in the back. It's pretty spacious. Like I said, we can handle 4 people in this airplane. And then there's a baggage area back here as well, where you can put about 100 pounds worth of baggage. Okay, so just a real quick tour of the gauges, because there's quite a few. Of course, you've got fuel. There are 2 tanks, which is very nice to have. And then your cylinder head temperatures, your oil temp, oil pressure are very important. In this airplane here, we keep track of our power through the manifold pressure. And RPMs. Now that will change because the actual prop changes its pitch, and that's going to bog the engine down. So let's say I'm running at up here by 25. Once I pull the airplane, it's this knob right in here, once I actually make the propeller bite into the air more, then you'll see those RPMs right here drop a little bit, maybe 100 or 200. Now you can see that it is pretty cramped in here. I've got our cameraman in the back here, but we're sitting fairly close together. So let's give you a tour more of the aviate part of an airplane. Incidentally, we do break down this whole trip into aviate, navigate, and communicate. Those are huge. The aviate part I'm going over. Navigation I'll go over later in a different video or in a talk that I'm going to give. And then the communicate's kind of fun too. You can listen on the internet to see how you talk to air traffic controllers, for example. All right, so let's do with the aviate part. So this is your steering wheel. We call it the yoke. We do have 3 dimensions when we fly. So we've got our left and our right, and we have ailerons that actually go up and bite the air. One goes up, one goes down, and that turns the airplane. We also have the up and down part, and that's largely driven actually by the throttle. Okay, the throttle's down here. That's really what makes you go up and down, more so even than just pulling your yoke. And then, although it's going to be dark and you probably can't see in the video, there are some pedals down here as well, and that's for your rudder. Okay, so we actually have a 3rd dimension here, and that's because the airplane itself has something called yaw, yaw would basically grab the wing and pull it a little bit back on you. And you want to kind of cut into the wind. And so you use your rudder to basically make a coordinated turn. There are also the brakes. The brakes are up here. Even on a jet, you've got your rudder down here and your brakes there on the top part of it. You steer the airplane when you taxi with your pedals down here, not with the yoke. Okay, so there are 3 dimensions that you have to coordinate. It's not too tough. Going back here real quickly to the control panels, here we have, right here in the middle is your altitude. And this is called an altimeter, and I know that we're at roughly 1,500 feet here in Auburn. We have our artificial horizon, has different names, but I call it artificial horizon. We have our airspeed indicator. We want to make sure that we land at a certain speed. Again, that's really important. Coordinated turn, I mentioned with the rudder, we've got that control. We also have our vertical speed, so how fast are we going up or down, in addition to the altimeter. So that's our standard 6-pack in terms of the actual aviation. These other 2 gauges over here, by the way, are for navigation. They're called VORs, which are used in jets, and it's basically a radio beacon that has these radials that you can follow and tell you where you are. But that's beyond us for today. And then down here is the key, and there you have to prime it. A bunch of fuses and lights and so on. So we'll take a look at some other things here now. Now what you're looking at are the avionics. I've turned them on. We have up here, this is for our headsets. This is the intercom system. You pretty much have to use this. It's too loud in here. This is a Garmin 430. It is a GPS unit, and the communications are right in here. It's just starting to boot up right now. But this is really important. This is what I use to get across the country. Okay, so right in here there's the, say, OK, by hitting enter. And then I would put in my fuel actually here. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Turn off the speaker so you can hear me. But there's a lot of stuff, fuel management I can deal with in here, my position. If I just hit OK for right now, hit enter, and now it starts to check for the GPS. This is a secondary radio down in here. This is actually used with the VORs, distance measuring equipment. There's also a transponder that tells the air traffic controllers a unique code right here. Often you might even punch in a code. And then it also tells them my position with a new technology called ADSB, out, which is an acronym, let's see, Automated Detection Surveillance Broadcast. This is a new standard. It's actually going to be mandated by 2020. So this is an instrument I just got put in Florida. This is an autopilot. Now, this darn thing doesn't look too fancy, but this really will save you if you got in the clouds and you got disoriented. This thing will automatically keep you level. They're very expensive. We're talking over $10,000 just for this silly thing, even if you bought it used. So I just love this autopilot. It's really important. Down in here are throttle controls. This is a carb heat, which would give me an alternate air source, and sometimes the carburetor ices up. It is a carbureted engine. This is the throttle. Right in here is the propeller, like I was telling you. You can actually pull that back and bite into the air more. And as you go up in elevation, or altitude as we call it in the airplane, we want to actually lean the airplane. We slowly lean it out to make the engine run better. Over in here are flaps. You can actually hear them going right now. You can put them back. And then we have other things like controls over here. This is actually, I know in the video it doesn't come out very well, but this is my engine gauge. It tells me the temperature of the cylinders, the exhaust gas, so on like that. And then finally, just to wrap this up, way down here in the dark, we have controls for trim. So you've got resistance. There's a little trim tab that helps with resistance. Down here is our fuel gauges. The 2 tanks I can switch or just leave it in the middle. This is for cooling. These are cow flaps. So while it does seem complicated with this little quick tour, it's manageable, let's put it that way. This is not a very complicated airplane compared to jets and things like that. All right. Okay, so let's get in this bird. You gotta step up right here, slide the seat on up, like so. Gotta get my feet so I can touch the pedals. And then we wear these headsets like these right in here. We got the mic to talk to air traffic controllers and to the passengers and so on. Okay, so we're taxiing to runway 25, and I'm also setting my destination. We're going to go to Sierraville and Sierra Valley. So Beckworth, California is the airport, so I hit the code and then I activate it. It actually shows us where we're going, kind of our heading, and also even aircraft. With the ADS-B, I was telling you earlier, that gives us aircraft traffic. So very nice to have that. Okay, so in regards to the warm-up, the run-up that is, we check our magnetos to make sure both of them are correct. And then we do carb heat, check that. We check the propeller. We bog the engine down a couple times at least. Okay, and then we also make sure our mixture is correct. I will check our charger, our battery charger, our amp meter. So I'm going to turn on the nav lights and see. It does. At Auburn traffic, Skyline 8, welcome back. We're holding short of 25 for landing traffic at Auburn. Okay, so then autopilot is off. Make sure that's off right here. Now we want to make sure the doors are latched. Good. Mags are both on and controls are free. Okay, that's good. And then our final settings here are the throttle, carb heat's up, flaps are up. We're good to go. Taking runway 25. We're doing left downwind departure to the east at Auburn. So we come on out here and we line the plane up. And again, we use our feet. I'm steering with my feet. I hear you loud and clear to Auburn. And then I actually like to rev it up to about 2,000 RPMs before I leave. It's down here. All right, and now we're going to do our rollout. So when the engine, or when the airplane feels light, then you pull back. And there we go.